What's going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For all the day one fam, welcome back. Y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. Growing up in certain environments made people get used to a certain way of life, whether right or wrong. For example, I remember being in groups when we was about 14 or 15 years old, and everybody had a blick on them. Whether they took it from home or broke in somebody's car to get it, either way, we had them. And back then that seemed normal, until I started going to different areas and realize people really don't live like this. It's easy to get sucked up in a cycle when you are around certain things. Walking out your front door to people hustling, your block might be beefing, so you are seeing or hearing shootouts every night. You might be a good kid who is trying to do right, but we all want to feel like we belong. So eventually, you jump off the porch and get right in the mix. You might start losing friends, and now you are out here trying to survive just like everybody else. But deep down inside, you want out and want to do more with your life. Unfortunately, some will never make it out. It breaks my heart when I hear about dudes losing their life at 17 or 18 years old. Because I know at that age, I didn't care about nothing. But you live, grow, and start to care and have things to live for. And as a young man coming up through all the obstacles of inner city life, the last thing we think of after escaping so many situations is that we will be killed over who we are in a relationship with. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will be taking it to Staten Island, New York to discuss a case of a young man trying to change his life who got caught up due to another man's jealous rage. According to sources, Lateef Dudley grew up in the Stapleton area of Staten Island. As a young man, he stayed out the way, but would become traumatized of all the deaths around him, from friends, family, or just people from around his neighborhood. The young man would try to navigate the streets the best way he knew how. Allegedly hanging around his way, he would end up affiliated with a group on the north side of the city that some would label as Bloods. But to Lateef, these were just friends he was growing up with. Eventually, he would have a child, a little boy. He instantly decided that was worth changing his life for the better. But we all know transitioning out the streets can be hard. And back in 2016, the young man was caught driving with a handgun and received some prison time. He was crushed to be away from his son and vowed not to never give his life away like that again, and to be a great man for his community and father to his son once he got released. Days after coming home from his bit, Lateef saw a man on a city bus wearing a shirt promoting the Staten Island outreach group Fatherhood Matters. He wanted to join the program to make up for the time he missed with his son, who was then 2 years old. And he did. Leaders of the group said when they met with the young man, he was focused on the mission. He barely even smiled. Lateef's transition out of prison would be smooth. He worked hard to find a job and landed a gig at Amazon. He was volunteering for whatever he could to give back to his community and was providing for his son. Lateef was said to be one of the best guys in the dad group and was super ambitious. Fast forward, after being home for a minute, he would enroll in a program to be a dentist at St. Paul's School of Nursing. People close to Lateef said how he spoke about prison, told stories, and seemed so focused on doing right and never going back. Somewhere in the mix of this, the man being home for a minute, now 26 years old, and his son 4, Lateef started to see and date a young woman. Things seemed to be falling in place for the young man. He had kept his nose clean, staying out of trouble, kept steady work and handling his business, and found someone he could vibe with. But the young lady had an ex at the time, a 44-year-old man named Arthur Williams, who did not like the fact she was moving on or that Lateef was around at all. The young man didn't really pay attention to her jealous ex and just brushed it off until he soon would realize Arthur was different and allegedly was stalking a new couple and made things real uncomfortable for Lateef. Watching how he moved, making threats to the point Lateef started to watch his back and looking over his shoulders. Now the same streets and activity he was working hard to fight against were coming at him over a relationship. Things would come to a head on February 20th, 2021. Arthur had made up his mind to confront Lateef. According to sources, the men saw each other and had a little dispute over the young lady. Lateef, who at the time was driving a 2016 Black Infiniti, eventually got in his whip, but wouldn't make it far before shots went off. As people fled, some saw what was going on and called police, but the car was reported as a motor vehicle accident on the 300 block of Van Duzer Street. As police arrived, they saw a black car crash into the back of another vehicle. Inside was a man who seemed to be suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the torso. It was around 3:25 p.m. when the victim was rushed to Richmond University Medical Center in West Brighton, but unfortunately he was pronounced gone at 4:53 p.m. The man was later identified as 26-year-old Lateef Dudley. As the investigation started, NYPD didn't find any evidence of the shooting on the accident scene, but quickly determined Lateef was already hit in another location and drove there to try to get away into safety. It was found out he allegedly was shot in his chest about a mile away from the crash site on Osgood Avenue. Two other people was also shot at a short distance away on the 100 block of Laurel Avenue. As NYPD talked to witnesses, they said a man opened fire on Lateef after an argument over a woman. The young man's family was heartbroken after hearing the news of his passing and how he worked so hard to change his life around and was a great father, loyal friend, and family member, to be all of a sudden gone over a situation. Police had a suspect, 44-year-old Arthur Williams, but the man wasn't nowhere to be found. A GoFundMe for Lateef was launched by his family, and weeks would go by without no one in custody. But eventually, Arthur was tracked down to Syracuse, upstate New York. He was picked up and charged with murder and other charges in a 25-count indictment. As the case made the trial, Lateef's mother spoke out, stating this was a senseless, clear case of jealous rage while her son was gone, and that he changed his life for the better just to have to look over his shoulder over a woman that he had just started dating. Arthur pled not guilty to the murder charges and took a plea deal of the lesser charge of manslaughter and was sentenced to 15 years in prison and 5 years supervised release probation. When asked did he want to address the family, the man stood up and stated, "I send my condolences to your family, son, brother, and cousin, but as I stand here today, it was either me or him." Then he quickly sat down. The judge stated it was a complicated case. I couldn't find any information regarding why Arthur only got manslaughter for the situation. Rest in peace to Lateef. I send my deepest condolences to his family. I hope they find peace in all of this. I'm not exactly sure why some men choose not to keep it player and let it go if a woman shows she blankly doesn't want you anymore and it's over. But to take a life over someone who doesn't want you is beyond me. Only thing I could think of is maybe she was playing both sides, or maybe Arthur just couldn't move on. It's crazy Lateef went through all that and worked hard to stay out the way, to lose his life over a woman. I'm sure somebody somewhere is going through the same situation. And bro, or queen, let me tell you, if you gotta look over your shoulder and get threatened about a relationship, let it go. It's not worth it. Something is definitely not right if an ex has that much access. So remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, crazy story, man. Rest in peace to Latif. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. I really feel bad for his son, man, because at the end of the day, he seemed like he was a good father. That's what he was focused on out here, trying to do the right things. They said before he passed away, he was planning a trip to Disney World to take his son. And I'm not sure why Arthur only got manslaughter. It might be a little deeper than we think, you know what I mean? Maybe he tried to claim like self-defense or something like that. You know, they ain't had no information or nothing like that, man. But y'all already know, man. Leave it in the comments. This is another episode of Hood Tales. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.